that explores a variety of topics making successful mid to late career transitions with a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment for the next phase of your career and life, regardless of your age. Now, here's your host, Lisa Downs.
Welcome to Reigniting You, where we talk all things career transition for those age 40 plus. I'm your host, Lisa Downs, Seattle-based career and retirement transition coach. Great to be here with you today, and our producer, Eric. Hey, Eric, are you staying cool these days in our little heat wave we're having?
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, the unfortunate part about it is that it's all seemed to be happening during the week instead of
Yeah.
on the weekend during my days off. But,
Right.
luckily for me, we have got very nice AC here in the studio. So
Yes,
there,
it's good. And
there's an upside and downside.
blasted at work, blasted in the car, so that's good. And we've got a great show on tap for today. And my guest is Randa Hoffman of Radiant Wealth Planning, who's here to help me answer our career transition question of the month for June. And I'll introduce Randa right after this quick break. Hi, I'm Lisa Downs, career and retirement transition coach and host of Reigniting You on KKNW. I guide age 40 plus professionals to gain clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and a career transition plan within 90 days so you can lead a fulfilling life regardless of your age. No longer does change have to mean riding off into the proverbial sunset. Let's talk about what your next phase of life can look like. Visit yournewaspect.com or call me at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching. Fresh perspectives for your career.
What's your story? Have you ever sat with that question and looked to your heart for the answer? It's time to explore the real you. Tune in Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the brand new show, Story You, with Coach Debbie. Debbie and her guests have a mission to inspire and coach you to find your voice. If you need direction, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. If you want to be an author, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. Tune in Thursdays at 4 p.m. and be inspired.
Alternative Talk 1150, the talk of the sound.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that focuses on all aspects of making mid to late career transitions. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. Hey, a note that in case you missed it here on KKNW, that you can catch Voices of Experience with host Paul Casey this Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. on KIXI. Voices shines a light on people with experience in their fields of travel, public affairs, adventure, health, and fitness, with an emphasis on sustaining your own business. That's Voices of Experience this Sunday at 9 a.m. on AM 880 KIXI. And I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Randa Hoffman. Randa is the owner and financial planner at Radiant Wealth Planning, a fee-only financial planning and investment management firm exclusively for women. She helps ease the uncertainty around retirement, tax planning, and transitioning wealth so that women can live a life they've always dreamt of. She holds an MBA degree and EA, that's an enrollment agent certification, and lives in Newport Beach, California. Hey, Randa, so great to have you here. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is really cool.
Yeah, you bet. And so I always like to start with guests learning more about your career journey. So tell us your story in terms of how you got to what you're doing here today, because I know you've made some different transitions over the years.
Yeah, over the years, and also longer than that, because I started my career in IT. So I'm a career changer into finance. So I was in IT for about 12 years, mostly like project management. And I got to a point, Lisa, that I remember sitting at my desk and thinking, if I keep going along this path, I will be forgotten. And I don't want to be forgotten. So then, lots of soul searching and asking questions. What do I really want to do? I'm like, okay, I want to do finance. And I just had that opportunity. Our project ended at Liberty Mutual Insurance, and we got our 2 months notice and a severance package. I'm like, okay, now it's the time. Now it's the time to do that. So I left the IT world and went into the finance world, and I started my career at Edward Jones, and that's how you and I met,
Yep.
when I was there. And from there, I was like, this is cool. I'm learning a lot. It's phenomenal. But once again, I want to create my legacy. Edward Jones has been around for 100 years. They have their legacy. It's just fine. What about me? And so off I go, just started Radiant Wealth Planning and been on this journey ever since. So pretty
That's
cool.
great. Very
Yeah.
cool. And what would you say are is a key lesson or a couple lessons that you learned along the way?
Oh my God. I know we only have a small meeting to answer these questions, but Lisa, I have been learning so much and I don't know how to compress it. Uh, The biggest lesson is I learned to be a little more realistic. Imagine that, I'm very Pollyanna. Life is good. It will all work out. I've always had that mentality. I'll figure it out. And I always do. But now I need to start, and believe it or not, this is new. Start not only looking at what I want to do, but looking at how the dominoes are going to fall,
Mhm.
before I do it. So, how can I make my life just a little easier? I'm still going to do this thing of the firm, but if I just looked at the dominoes and how they're going to fall, how can I simplify that a little? It's still going to be hard. It's still going to be a lot of work. Imagine that. That's a new concept. Looking at that, steps and
Yeah.
thinking and doing that's new. Who did
So
craziness?
so kind of thinking of those downstream impacts and projecting out a little bit, sounds like?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
And just to follow up on that, I'm kind of curious about so going from an organization like Edward Jones, which seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but seems to be a lot of process and structure and pretty locked down, to doing your own thing. What have you noticed in terms of differences between those two worlds?
It's crazy because Edward Jones, they have to have a lot of rules and regulations because there's a lot of
Mhm.
advisors and they have to regulate for the lowest common denominator, right? And it's a different world. The broker dealer world is different than the RIA world that I'm in. So it's just different. When I got out, I'm like, freedom, I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And they don't know what they're talking about. And so I did my videos and I did my blogs. And then I came back to like, I think they kind of know a thing or two. I think so. Then I went back to, I think I need to talk to people and build those relationships. I tweaked it a little to fit what's for me,
Mhm.
but it's like, okay, but it's nice. It's nice. I am doing the videos, I am doing the blogs. I am doing things that, yes, I couldn't do it in that world and in that environment. So it's just neat. It's just, I have so many creative ideas that it's like, ooh, which is a downside also, because I'm like,
Yep.
ooh, I can do this, I can do this, and squirrel here and a squirrel there. And it's like, but it's just learning. It's just
Yeah.
learning. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can be like, "Oh, look, a chicken," and I can do that, right? And go down this road over here or go down this path. But yeah, then I really have to bring it back to focus as much as
Yep.
possible. And
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm also wondering about just anything else, whether it was people, actions you took, but anything else that you think has been really helpful for you when you think about those transitions you made from IT and Liberty Mutual to Edward Jones to now being out with your own firm. What else was helpful to you as you went through those changes?
What I realized the most is I needed people, whether they felt, I don't want to know, I just needed them to say, Randa, I know you can do this. I know you'll be fine. Just tell me that. Just tell me I'll be okay. And I don't know how they really felt inside, but and even now, I tell my friend Amber, I'm like, I'm gonna be okay, right? She's like, you're gonna be fine. Don't worry. You're gonna do good. You're gonna do, just it's fine. And even when I was at Edward Jones, our regional leader, Lauren Winter, he's like, oh, I'm not worried about you. You'll be fine. Don't worry. And I was like, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. So, because, there's always the people you always hear like, oh, are you okay? And you're like, oh, don't stress me out. So those kind of people I needed around me.
Gotcha. Sorry, I have a tickle. I have to take a drink of water here.
Yeah, it's the heat.
It is. It's like, did I inhale a bug? Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere did I inhale? Yeah. Okay, I think I'm good. All right. So, no, that's great. And it sounds like just to, get that boost of confidence was important for you and that belief in yourself.
It's crazy because I knew I could do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. So there's that, like, I know I can do it. But when I see my life, I always see it in the 5 years in the future and the 10 years in the future. What I was having such a hard time is believing in myself today, now, when it's so hard. And,
Yeah.
I just shared with a friend like 3 months ago, free talk 3 months ago, I was convinced I was going to be homeless. I was convinced. I knew where I was going to put Toots's litter box. I was figuring out where I was going to take showers. Seriously, Lisa, this entrepreneurship, it is, you really don't
Hard.
know how it is until you do it.
Yeah, you really don't. I just about 2 weeks ago, I had a freak out and I was like, maybe I have to get, a regular job again and had a freak out. And that happens, every so often. And then it's like, no, you just gotta, focus and push through it and have the belief that you'll be okay and that you can do it. And, that's just so important, I think. And just to get through those times. And when you have those thoughts, and because it is hard. And yet, to me, it's if that's really your vision and what you want, then it's going to be worth it in the end. So
Yeah.
very
And,
cool.
and you've been doing this for a while. So even someone who's
I have.
been doing
Yeah.
it for a while still has the freakouts.
Oh yeah, I've been at it 6 years, and yeah, and still that can happen. So, but I think that's great, and thank you so much, Randa, for sharing all of that and your lessons and what's been a help to you and about your journey. It's already time for our next break. So when we come back, Randa and I will answer our career transition question of the month for June.
Are you feeling challenged or frustrated without a plan for what's next in your career and life? Are you seeing writings on the wall for needing to make a mid to late career change and don't know how or what to do? Coach Lisa Downs of New Aspect Coaching can guide you to what's next, providing a fresh perspective and supporting you to create a clear and compelling vision for your future and a plan to move forward. Call Lisa at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
This is Rob Bass, and I want you to tune in to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller, the show that brings joy from pain, sunshine where it rains. Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. And that's coming from me, Mr. It Takes Two, Rob Bass. Tune in.
Do what Rob Bass says. Take a listen to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. That's me, Tuesdays from 3 to 4 on KKNW. To find out more information, check out my website, staceyconnects.com, or text DAMTT to 55678.
Hello, I'm Nathan Mum. Join me and Mike Raday as we host a weekly technology show that talks about technology for the everyday common person. We are a live radio program that airs Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you go to facebook.com/TechTimeRadio, youtube.com/TechTimeRadio, or twitch.tv/TechTimeRadio, you can catch us live Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. You can find us at all podcast services online, from Apple to Google and everything in between.
Have a career transition related question or want to share your best or worst job story? Call 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496. Just leave a voicemail and we'll answer your question or share your story on a future show. Stay tuned for more Reigniting You with Lisa Downs.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that discusses timely issues and topics about career transition for Gen Xers and Boomers. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. Hey, a reminder that if you'd like to get in touch, feel free to head on over to my website, yournewaspect.com. There you can sign up for my free weekly career tips newsletter, as well as take my free career transition readiness quiz or send me a note or inquiry. So just go to yournewaspect.com if you'd like to check things out or get in touch. So I'm here with Randa Hoffman, the financial planner and owner of Radiant Wealth Planning. So Randa, let's go ahead and jump back into our conversation. And our question for the month for June is, what types of things do I need to consider for my finances when looking to make a career transition as an older worker? So what are your thoughts on that piece?
That was me. Transitioning at 40, from going to a paycheck to no paycheck. So, they say, and I'll say this for the financial services industry, have 1 to 2 years of savings set aside. That's a lot of money. I did not have 1 or 2 years of savings, and this is from a financial planner I'm talking about. I had 6 months of savings. Okay. So that's okay. But and this goes back to my lesson of, I wish I saw the dominoes before. That's okay. But then guess what? Get a side hustle. Imagine that, get something. There's like a bunch of things like Uber or Shipt or, anything like that to kind of fill in that gap, because what's going to happen, that's really going to help you exhale and breathe and just be like, just relax. It's okay. It's okay. So highly recommend that if you can't have the 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good recommendation, just to have something as a backup. And, since you work with women, I'm wondering, what are any special financial considerations that women need to keep in mind as well, that are of particular importance to them?
2 things that I see, and it happens in life transitions: divorce or the death of somebody, of a loved one. Divorce a lot of times happens, she gets that lump sum of money, and it's half of the spouse's 401k or the IRA or whatever it is, right? And this lump sum of money is really supposed to be the retirement money, her retirement money. And what I see is she doesn't talk to somebody, a professional, right? Financial advisor right away. And she's spending that money, and that's her retirement money. So that's one big thing I see. Or she gets divorced, she gets the money, and it sits in a checking account.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of it is because I don't know who I want to talk to that I trust, that's not going to judge me.
Yeah.
It's not going to give me a hard time. I think we have a hard time finding people we trust, especially in the financial services industry, right? Or if her spouse passes away and she doesn't know, she takes care of the home finances. I know what's going on the day to day, but I don't know what's going on in my investment accounts, that long term. Be aware of that, know of that, keep account of, so I try to, with couples, is let's sit down. Here's your accounts. Here's where they're at. Here's the account numbers. You both need to know where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
to me, there's a lot of trauma tied with that too, right? So going through divorce, or, going through a grieving process, loss of someone, there's trauma associated with that too. So I would think sometimes, she could be a little um,
Foggy.
fearful.
Yeah.
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 It creates like a little foggy, especially
Yep.
when the death of, your loved one, like it just like, I just don't know. I know this is a very simple question, but I just can't process it. So
Yeah.
having somebody that you trust to work with, and that really, and I keep saying trust, because really that's the most important thing. You just have
Right.
to know that when you're going through that, they truly have your back. Like they got you. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Hmm.
And then for anyone who is thinking of leaving an employer, who has funds sitting in an employer-sponsored retirement account, what are your recommendations for what they do with that money after they leave?
Oh my God, this is such a big question. This is, you know what? If anything, people take this away, right? Take your money with you. Now, okay, And I say that as a very broad term. We have different situations. There's something called rule of 55, that if you're between 55 and 59 and a half, you can take your employer money without any tax penalty, right?
Right.
Talk to a tax professional and all that goodness. So assume that's not the case. Take your money with you and put it in an IRA or a Roth IRA, whichever it falls into based on the tax treatment. The reason being is what happens is employers can move that money around, that 401k, to different companies. So let's say once it was Fidelity, and then it goes to Morgan Stanley, then it goes here, then it goes here. Well, if you haven't worked with that place for 10 years, now you got to connect all the dots.
Yeah.
I have done so much of that work, and people are like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. Don't make it hard on yourself. Just take it with you. And the other benefit is you can diversify it. So if you're with a 401k, they give you about 10 to 20 options. In an IRA, you have a plethora of options. So work with a professional that can diversify it. That's perfect based on your risk. So that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I know that's what we've done. Well, I've changed jobs a lot more than my husband, but I know for me, it's like that's what I did every time I left a place, which was, on average about after 2 years. Kind of why I'm independent now, but that's another story. But that's for another show. But yeah, that's what I did was I just kept rolling it into a rollover IRA
Yeah.
and built that up really well, and then was able to diversify those funds. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's
At
good.
the minimum, roll it into another 401k. At
Yeah.
the minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Because as you said, it's then you've got a lot more leeway, you've got a lot more control over it. It's not the organization when they decide to switch brokerage houses or whatever.
Yeah.
At least then you can make the decisions on what you want that to look like and what you want that money to be doing for you.
You
So
nailed it. Yeah.
yeah,
You nailed
that's
it.
great.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah.
And, since we're all about career transition here, financial services is a huge industry, and that's where you've landed. And so I'm also wondering any recommendations you have. So if someone is looking to get into the financial world or financial planning, wealth advising, anything along those lines for an encore career, what to do next for themselves, where do you suggest they start and what would be important for them to know?
So I wish somebody told this to me. And I have no regrets starting with Edward Jones, but I wish somebody told this to me because I didn't know at the beginning. So I explained at the beginning, firms fall into the broker dealer or RIA world. So I would recommend looking into what those two mean. The licensing for both is different. So understanding what those two are. It depends on the firm, whether it's a broker dealer, RIA. Everybody has their rules and metrics, right? On what it means for you to succeed in that organization. So understanding what that is and know truly if that's something that motivates you or does not motivate you,
Okay.
you know? So you want to be somewhere where you're going to be supported. So are you working in a team or are you working solo? What works for you? And every place is so different. Do you like a small feel or do you like a big corporation feel? Know that as well.
Okay.
Because there is every single aspect of that there is in financial planning.
Okay. And RIA, just to clarify, is that registered investment agent? Is that right?
Advisor. Yep. Sorry.
Advisor?
Yep.
Registered investment advisor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And what would you say is if you could put it in kind of one phrase or one word, what would you say is a key difference between a broker dealer model and the RIA model?
It's the biggest thing is how it's regulated.
Okay.
So the broker dealer, you need to get your Series 7 because you're getting a commission. Series 7 falls under the regulatory body of FINRA. Okay. So if you're getting commissions, you got to be under FINRA. RIAs can be duly registered. So you can do a fee only.
Mhm.
So for example, at Radiant Wealth Planning, you pay a flat fee every year and you get the advice. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's all basically we're a fiduciary by law, right? You can do a commission, but that means you have to be under a broker dealer. I'm like, I don't
Mm,
want to do commissions. I don't want any of that. To me,
yeah,
no, thank you. So you're in the RIA space. And
gotcha.
I'm fee only RIA. So I
Okay,
don't get any commission of any kind. Yeah.
gotcha. Thanks for clarifying that. That's great.
It's a
And
big world. Yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah, there's just a lot and a lot of regulation, as you said, and a lot of, well, every industry has its acronyms and all of that. So a lot of
Yes.
rules, and but that's great for folks to know. So thank you for clarifying that. And then last question is, how can people find you if they'd like to get in touch?
Oh, I'm so easy to find. I'm all over the place on social. So you can go to the website at radiantwealthplanning.com. So you can reach out to me from there or see videos on there, or you can go on Instagram at Radiant Randa or YouTube, Radiant Wealth Planning. So I'm I'm easy. Or you can email me. We'll do the old-fashioned email, Randa at radiantwealthplanning.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Randa, and talking to me today. And for our listeners, all the excellent recommendations and lessons, and just really appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Absolutely. And it's time to wrap up today's show. And that means it's also time for my reignition recommendation, your weekly career transition tip, regardless of your age. And today, that's to take stock of what you want to accomplish by the end of the year. We are already here in the 6th month of the year. Pretty soon, in another few weeks, we're going to be halfway through 2021 already. So hard to believe. But just take a little bit of stock. Take some time and see, where are you with what you want to do this year? Any goals, visit your goals, see what progress you've made or haven't made, and really set a clear intention in terms of what you would like to get done by the end of the calendar year. And just a reminder that if you'd like to get in touch or take my free career transition readiness quiz, sign up for career tips, just head on over to my website, yournewaspect.com. Well, thanks, Eric, for your support today, as always. So, what stood out to you from our time with Randa today?
Oh, what a great conversation and lots of things to think about. I mean, just the question alone of what do I do with my 401k when I leave
Yeah.
a job, that's a big thing to consider that I don't think people give enough thought to. So, great
Yeah.
answer on that for sure.
That's great. Yeah, it's one of those things that just is out there, and then
Yeah.
you leave and it's like, "Oh, yeah," and you start getting information about it, and or you just forget about it, and then it can sit and not
Yep.
be actively managed. So, yeah, for sure. Some great recommendations. Well, join us next week when it's time once again for our monthly Ask Lisa episode. To submit a career transition question for me to answer on the air, email me at reignitingyou@gmail.com or leave a voicemail for me at 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496 for any career transition questions, and I'll answer them live on the air next week. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on Reigniting You.